What is going on, you guys? Welcome to a brand new episode, Speak Loud podcast. Have not been extremely consistent with the podcast, even since making the switch from kind of growth, grit, grind podcast to uh, to making it the Speak Loud podcast. But going to try to change that, going to set some type of schedule that we can keep up with it. Obviously, what is most important in our business is to take care of our clients and take care of their needs, whether that be video content, ads, ad updates, maintenance, launching, onboarding new clients. Of course, that comes first. But what I'm going to talk about on this podcast is relevant to us as well. But I think it's relevant to a lot of business owners out there. We started looking at really our business and what we do, which I think is important for every business. I think every entrepreneur, every business owner should be taking an examination every once in a while of their business and really looking at the core of like what is it that you really do, what is working, what's not working, what are the highlights and what are the not so highlights, right? Um, and we saw in our business that we go really beyond really marketing and advertising with most of our clients. We are a partner in their business and a partner in their growth, a partner in their scaling. And we looked at the other side of our business on the consulting side. We're like, you know what? There's a significant number of clients that we're really assisting them beyond kind of marketing and advertising, because there's employee retention, there's morale, there's culture, sales. There's so many different areas that we're touching with our clients, that we're like, you know what, we really need to put that out there. That it's, if you need help with marketing and advertising, absolutely, our agency is built and fully capable of facilitating that at any level, from beginner to the highest level. Um, but we have the other side that, we have this just knowledge and the way our brains work and the way we function and how we look at things, that are beneficial to clients, because we have the tendency, just like us with our business, it is awesome for us to be able to talk to someone on the outside looking in, because they're able to look at things through a different lens, or a different perspective. And, we take those things and apply them in our business because we go, wow, we're in the thick of it. We're looking at it only from the only angle we can look at it, and that's from the operator side. This allows us to step outside of that and get someone else's perspective on how we do things and how we operate and how we're growing and how we're scaling. And I think the same is true for all types of businesses. That it is good to have that outsider perspective. We have several clients that, whether it be on a monthly, a quarterly, a biannual basis, that we are consulting for them, that they may have the team to execute some of the things that like we do on the agency side. And then we have some that we kind of do both. We facilitate the agency side, but then we consult with them on the rest of their business. They're wanting to grow, they're wanting to scale, and there's more pieces to that than just marketing and advertising. While it's a huge piece of growing and scaling, it's not the only piece. They need to make sure that they're retaining employees, that they're training them, that their employees understand sales, that they're building the right culture, that they're implementing the right SOPs and workbooks and training manuals and things like that. And we want to ensure that we can help with that. And so we've just found ourselves doing that. And so it's something that, we have out there. But what I specifically want to talk about, and it rings true for us, is that I hear regularly business owners that they're working on this piece or working on that piece. And, we talk about, leveling yourself up as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, that we're constant learners, that, some people at the highest level of success consider themselves continual learners, continuing to learn from other people around them, continuing to learn from people that have been where they're still trying to go or want to go. But the thing that we hear, and I've been guilty of saying it, and I know that most of you have been guilty of saying it, is that I just don't have the time. Just don't have the time. And while for a very small percentage of us and you, that may be true. It may be true, but the reality is that there are enough hours in the day. Um, Sometimes it's just how we look at them. How are we structuring our days and our weeks to facilitate that growth? Because if we're looking at it from, and I would say most of us would agree with this statement, most of us, if we left a corporate job or a W 2 job working for someone else, let's just put it that way, we left, say, an 8 to 5 to take on a 24/7. And I completely agree with a level of work life balance, but I also truly believe that if you love what you do and you are passionate about what you do, you find the right layout and the right schedule. And I work a lot. I consider myself very busy, and not with just busy work, but the moving parts of our business and the different sides of our business. That we stay fairly busy. There are days that I look at my calendar and I go, man, when am I eating lunch? But then I look at the remaining time, whether that be me working after 5, working after 8, or me maybe taking a break at 6 and, eat dinner and maybe watch a little bit of a football game, but then I may have my computer out during that time. Or after that time, if there's deadlines that need to be met, it is not uncommon for myself, for Laura, for other people on our team to be working at 11, or 10. And I'm not saying that you need to do that every day, or you need to do it all the time. Maybe you do. I mean, that's really completely up to you and your goals and ultimately where you're trying to go and how quickly you're trying to get there. But if something really matters to you, and maybe it's the growth of your business, it's the rolling out of a new product, it's hiring new employees, it's training those employees, it's whatever it may be. If you have a goal that there are sometimes quote unquote sacrifices that you need to make. The example I gave, and it became funny because there was several people in this classroom that related to it. I said, you may not be able to watch that rerun of Law and Order SVU. If that's your unwind time or your disconnect time, that it might mean skipping an episode or two a day or two a week, so that way you have an extra 4 hours that you built into your work week. It's an advantage that we actually have and a blessing that we actually have, that we can exchange that time, that we can trade that time. And there's many times that, what I love about being a business owner is there's many times that my kiddos have something going on, that it might be, in the middle of the day or early afternoon, and I have typically the flexibility to ensure that I'm there. But what does that mean? It might mean that I got a little bit of an early start. It might mean that I have a late finish. It might mean that while I'm sitting there watching college football, which I love to watch college football over the weekend, it may mean that my laptop's in my lap. And that does not mean that I am not there for my kids and I'm not spending time with them. It does not mean that I'm not there for my spouse or spending time with her. A lot of times we're sitting beside each other with our computers out, and it's simply the life that we've chosen. And I believe that at the root concept of, like, when people say work life balance, I believe to a certain degree. I buy into it to a certain degree, but I think a lot of times it's used as a crutch. When people say, "Oh, brother, you need a good work life balance," that is my work life balance. Is that I get the things done that need to be done. To me, timeline or time frame is irrelevant as long as those things. It's the same thing I express to our team. I ultimately care less about the number of hours. I care more about that it was completed. If it takes you more or it takes you less, and you go do X, Y, or Z because you got it all knocked out. Like, I ultimately, I really don't care. What I ultimately care is about the end product, that it was done and that it was done right, and that we have something to show for it, and that it was done well. That's what I ultimately care about. What I'm essentially trying to get at, and what I wanted to share in this probably a fairly short podcast, is that we do, for the most part, and I don't like speaking in general statements, because there are some that may be like, I'll send you my calendar and show you that I don't have time. I'm working from 6 a.m. until 9 p.m. every single day, grinding. And hey, kudos, like that you're one of them. But there's many of us that if we were to truly look at the day, we go, well, I'm going to get started at 9. That way I can be done at 3. And then I'm going to go watch trash TV, or I'm going to go play golf, or I'm going to do X, Y, or Z. The reality is, but on that same week, maybe even that same day, you're sitting back going, really need to focus on this, really need to do this. You've got like this list, this ongoing list of to-dos, and I think most of us have them. And some of them are like, need to do, I categorize mine by need to be done today, need to be done this week, need to be done this month, need to be done this quarter. And this is like future to-dos. Like there's probably 6 things in front of it that have to be done first, but then, these fall in line after those things are done. It's future planning. But even myself, if I were to look at a calendar, or to simply look at my day, there is time. There is time. It just may mean that I got up a little earlier, worked a little later, or I was more intentional with my time. Is that, when I sat down to eat my lunch instead of, and I'll give you a peek into my life, and this is not every day because a lot of days we are running, and we're going, we're on the road during lunch, or we're grabbing something, or we're heating something up. But there are days in a week that, I may sit down to eat my lunch. Shout out to Factor. Love Factor shows up at my doorstep, not sponsored by them, but would absolutely take it if they wanted to. Factor is a huge help to me because it's 2.5 minutes in a microwave. And it's really good food. It's healthy food. It helps me hit my goals in food. But there are many days where I may do that. Yesterday was a great example of that, is that I had some things to do early in the day, was done with those by around lunch, was able to get back in front of the computer at the desk, which is some of my most productive time. Check in with the team, check in with Laura, see what's going on there, making sure there's anything I need to do for what they're doing, but then jump back into my side of things. And what did I do yesterday? I heated up my lunch. I sat down and I turned on some YouTube golf. YouTube golf, categorized any way you want. It's Bryson DeChambeau. It's good. It's Bob Does Sports. I mean, that's my world. Give you a peek into some of those. Um, I enjoy watching it. It's entertainment for me. They make me laugh, learn some things about golf, whatever it may be. But I could have spent that time learning. I could have spent that time educating myself. I could have spent that time. There's maybe not anything that I could physically be typing out or working on because I'm sitting there eating. But, I hear so many times people wanting to, I need to figure this out. I need to figure that out. We really need to look into a CRM. We really need to implement this kind of team chat thing. We really need to do some updates to our website. I mean, there's so many options available to us now. Like I could have sat at my desk and done an audio note that would have been, gone out to the ads team. It could have gone out to web dev. It could have gone out to, I could have done that. Or I could have sat here and listened to, I'm working on some elaborate integrations right now for ourselves and for a couple of clients. And I could have sat here and gone to YouTube University and educated myself and learned and leveled up in that area, but I didn't. I chose to, and that's a choice that I made, which I did wind up doing it later, but it meant that I worked a little later. And so what I'm getting at is that you need to, it's like a self-examination from time to time, and an audit. It's looking at, the time that I'm spending doing what. In the mornings, what is your morning routine? And I'll tell you my morning routine, to give you a glimpse into that. Is just about every single morning we are up typically at 5. Our kiddo plays volleyball for the school team. Previously, she had practices after school. They would have their athletic period at the end of the day, and then they would stay 1 hour after. Then we would go pick her up, or our oldest daughter would pick her up, depending on the day or if she was working or not. They switched that. They switched it to morning practices, where now the doors open at 6:30. To be there at 6:30, 6:40, something like that. So what we do is the alarms go off 4:58, 5 a.m. I'm a multi-alarm type of person. Laura takes a little longer to get ready first thing in the morning than me, and that's not even like for the day. That's just to go do what we do next, which is work out. We have a home gym, which makes us more productive. And I also know that if I had a gym membership, I used to love going to a gym, but now I love it even more that it's right here at my home. And so by about 5:30, we're working out. We're out in our gym. We're working out. We have to wrap up about 6:15, 6:20, to run her up to the school, which is very close. It's about 5-10 minutes away. And then we come back. And typically most days of the week, we will go on a quick walk. It takes us about 30 minutes. It's about a mile and a half or so. We just walk through the neighborhood, come back, and we are back here by 7 a.m. At 7 a.m., I am heating up my second meal for the day, which is eggs. I'm heating that up. I eat these egg bowls. And then what I do in that next 20 or so minutes is the start of my day. So about 7:15, I am sitting at our bar top. I typically have my phone out. And for the first 4 or 5 minutes, I scroll social media, and not for the purpose of what a lot of people may scroll social media. I'm catching up. I'm seeing if there was anything that was tagged, anything that was mentioned, anything that I should take account of or note of for that day, whether I need to respond to someone, if something was shared or commented, anything like that. On our personal end, we don't really manage comments and messages for our clients. We let them handle that because they're more versed in their businesses and probably can answer those questions better. But for us, was there anything that came in, last night, overnight, early morning that we need to kind of address? And then after that, I go and that's when I open my emails. I'm checking if there was anything extremely important or somewhat important that came in overnight or early first thing in the morning, and responding to those. And I'm doing that while I'm eating my breakfast. And then my goal is typically, and it depends on the day. Some days we are leaving to head out for the day at say 7:30, 8 o'clock, and we're headed to our, a video shoot or a meeting with a client or an onboard session, consulting, like whatever we have going on. It's a networking group that maybe we're running to. But that's what I do with the first, say, 30 minutes of my day from about 7 to 7:30, is that I spend time while I'm eating to catch up on some of those things and respond to some of those. And then typically I'm at my desk. If I'm not running somewhere right away, I'm at my desk very quickly. I am, again, maybe it's something I could not do from my phone in regards to an email or an attachment that needs to be made, or response, whatever it may be. I may respond to those directly. But then I'm jumping in, checking anything from the team to see if there was anything that they sent me towards the end of the day. Typically, I'm still online after they are not. So I usually catch things, but there could be something that came in first thing, or a thought that I had, or I told someone I was going to get back with them on something I needed to dig up. That's what I'm doing kind of in the first 30 minutes to an hour of my day, is it's spending time doing those things. And then you kind of fast forward through the rest of the day. Like I may have, again, I go to my to-do list probably before I go to anything, whether it's my to-do list that I've created for myself or to-do list other people have created for me, whether it be Laura or someone else on the team, because those things exist as well. They need things from me. So throughout that time, there are things that pop up that in the midst of me trying to do something, I don't know exactly how to execute it, or I don't know what the right framework or the right code or the right whatever it may be. And I may go reference Google or a white sheet or YouTube or something to figure those things out. But that's kind of me going through my day. Um, I have made it a point to schedule some time each week, kind of creative time. And that is time where I will have my pen, notepad. If most of you that know me well enough know that I'm not a very like notepad heavy or driven person, but I've made it a point to start doing those things a little more. And I'm just kind of flipping through this, like, showing you some notes here. I keep a notepad on my desk, whether it's the home office or the office. And it's just something for me to jot down some thoughts, but I do utilize my Google Docs, my notes on my phone, AI, whether it be ChatGPT or Gemini, leaning much heavier on Gemini here recently. But I will go through and kind of have this brainstorming or creative session, whether it is, videos that we have coming up for ourselves or for clients. It may be ad campaign creatives that we're working through, maybe testing some new things. But I'm doing that. Used to, I had it just kind of when it would come up, well, we're getting ready to do this. So the day before, the week before, I need to sit down and really think through that and send them some things. And that is what we do with some of our clients. So, I tell them, hey, here's kind of the game plan of what we're thinking. Let us know what your thoughts are on this, whether it's creative or it's video or whatever it may be. But I say all that to say is, like, I still could look throughout my day and go, I need to block out some time uh, to research, like, what is culture? What is culture? How do you build good culture? How do you build positive culture? And again, I'm going to probably rely on some AI. I'm going to rely on some YouTube University. I'm going to rely on maybe some people that I follow on social, or I could be following on social, that are known for that kind of arena, for building good culture, that maybe they have a good culture already, or I know them personally and they have a great company with good and happy employees. And I'm going to go look at what are they doing? What can I glean from them, and kind of adopt? And this could go with anything. I say culture, but it could be, sales, it could be implementation, it could be design, it could be creative, it could be any of those things, whether it's in our business or in yours. Is that I can learn from those people. I can learn from those organizations, from those companies, but I have to take the time to do it. And the reality is again, it's an audit. It's a self-evaluation of what am I actually spending my time doing on a daily basis. And here's the thing: if you are in a position that you can hand that off to someone else, I think it's important that you, as the leader, do know these things and understand these things. But to bring in, whether it is a sales coach, it's hiring a mentor, it is, hiring someone like us to, shift it off to someone else to where you don't have to worry about it. You're just looking at monthly reports and hopping on a call, and here's what we've seen versus what you've seen on our end versus your end. Do that. Do that if you are in the financial position that it makes sense for you to do that, and that is part of your growing and scaling plan, then 100% do that. I am all for outsourcing. Obviously, that's what our company does is people outsource their advertising and marketing or their lack of sales knowledge or lack of culture knowledge, lack of ideation. They bring that to our table because they're like, this is not something that I'm gifted at. This is not something that I am talented at. It's beyond my reach, my scope, and I need someone that's professional to be able to do those things. And I could relate it to bookkeeping or a CPA or filing taxes. That's something was one of our like day one, I would say day one, but very early moves is because I know myself well enough to know that I'm not going to go in there QuickBooks or wherever else it is and go, this $12 purchase was for, a stapler, that is office supplies, and now it's in that bucket. And like, oh, here, this was fuel. We were headed to a video shoot, and like this was lunch with a client. I know myself well enough to know that I could go back in there at the end of the year and like none of it's going to be done. I also know that I don't want to mess with taxes. Whether I understand it or know it is irrelevant. I don't want to mess with it. I don't want to mess something up. I don't want to categorize something as this and it was really supposed to be this, and then it hurts me or it did something that wasn't the right way of doing it. I want to trust a professional do that. And so we pay monthly to our bookkeeper and CPA to handle those things for us. And sure, if I brought it back in house, I could save several $1,000s a year. Now, maybe I say save, maybe I actually wouldn't because I wouldn't know how the tax programs work and what I should be putting where. I could actually wind up costing myself money. But it's a time thing. It's a time thing and it's a knowledge thing. Is that sure? I could hop on good old YouTube University and research every piece of tax and here's how you should do this, but I don't want to. That's not an area that I feel like I need to for the cost that I put out to pay for that and take care of it for me. It's so much more valuable to just let them do it. They're experts. They're I can afford it. It's in my budget. Great. Let them take care of it. So that would be my encouragement from this podcast, and ultimately I guess my statement for it is that you do have the time. If there's an area that you're lacking in, or you need to research, or you need to be better at, or you need to level up in, take the time to learn. If it's not something that's in your budget that you can outsource, if you feel like it's something that you can handle, what I don't want to see you do is, a quarter from now or a year from now, you'd be in the same position that you are now. You still don't understand it. You're still not doing it effectively. You're treading water. And you've heard me use that terminology a lot, is that you need to know kind of where you're at. You need to know where you're going, and you need to know what the kind of the action plan is to get there. And if step one is that I need to be better, I need to learn better, I need to be more productive with my time, I need to look at my nights and weekends, and I need to look at my trash TV time, I need to look at my college football time, whatever it may be, golf, pickleball, swimming, I don't care what it is. I'm not saying that you don't do the things that you enjoy. I'm saying that there is still time. Um, I watch breakdowns from people all the time of like, here's how many hours that are still left in the day. And I want everyone. I'm an advocate for good sleep. I'm an advocate for unplugging. I'm an advocate for having good mental health. I'm an advocate for all of those things. But I also still believe that the highest functioning entrepreneurs or individuals um, are extremely productive with their time. And they put things in silos or in boxes or in blocks. I mentioned this the other day to a class that we were training, is that you need a block. I love using calendar blocks, and it was something that I adopted probably 10 or 15 years ago, is where I would put even placeholders. I mentioned to you kind of my brainstorm time. I mentioned to you learning time. I mentioned to you like implementation time, like video shoots, whatever. You take that and correlate it and put whatever title on it you want inside of your business. It could be inventory, it could be researching new product, it could be CRM implementation. Put those blocks on your calendar. Start really blocking off your day, and do your best to stay within the confines of those boxes. If you do that long enough, then it becomes just habitual. You learn to like, I spend an hour answering emails at this time. Yes, other emails may come in that I do need to address, and I will get to those. But then that next hour of time is going to implementing this new CRM and really making sure I understand it before I hand it off to the next side of the team, and then they don't understand it or aren't using it effectively. Is that if you start adding blocks, I was speaking specifically to this class about blocking time for content creation and social media, and if they will take that time and they look at their week, every entrepreneur is a little bit different, but some of the ones we were speaking to, they're not open on Mondays. Like if you would dedicate, you got really good at it an hour, but in the beginning, maybe a couple of hours of just batching that content, creating a reel or two, throwing it in Canva, not throwing it in Canva, utilizing CapCut. We showed them a scheduling tool, same one that we use. You could have, we do it for multiple clients. So for them to do it just for their business, like they have the time, it's just allocating it. Instead of Monday being like your errand day for your personal stuff, maybe you need to do that on Saturday. Maybe you need to do it on Sunday afternoon. Maybe you do have time for it on Monday. It's like I've seen the memes. It was like, I got breakfast and mailed a letter today. I'm being so productive. Like we do have the time. It's just putting it inside its box. So my encouragement to you would be, start a note, whether it's mental or written or in your phone, and like, what are the top 5 things that I really need to work through in my business? Is it increasing awareness, increasing sales? Is it hiring people? Is it implementing that piece of software? Is it just personal growth? Do I need to understand branding better? Like, what is it what are the top 5 things in your business that you need to be working on? And then you need to go to your calendar and you need to block some time to increase your level of knowledge in those areas or to implement those things. Maybe you don't need the knowledge. Maybe you know exactly what you need to do, but you just day after day, week after week, month after month, you're sitting back going, I still haven't done it. I know what to do and I know what I need to do, but man, there's just not enough time. Go look at your week. Go look at your month. Go look at your weekends. And like, do you actually have time? Because I would say for the vast majority of us, there is time. It's just we have to make time for it. What is the saying is, you make time for the things that are important. Is and it's not that it's not important to us. Here's the wheel kind of we get stuck in, is we go through the day and we're in the business. We're going, we're grinding, we're answering emails, we're responding to people, we're checking people out, we're fixing something that's broken, we're interviewing a new employee, we're doing that. Like, it's all good things, but we're in the business. There has to be time in the day, in the week, to work on the business. And so we find ourselves of like, these are all great ideas and these are all good things that I need to be doing, but the business is functioning in its current state. So I'm working in that. I'm working in the thing that's already working, the machine, the mechanism, whatever that's already going, that's already working. That's where I'm at. But we have to pick ourselves up out of the business so that we can sometimes work on the business. If your goal is growing and scaling or optimizing or going wider, not deeper, like maybe it's deeper and wider, whatever your goal is there have to be task and time associated directly to those things, whether it's recruiting, hiring, launching ads, uh, fixing marketing, hiring an advertising agency. Like, I don't care what it is, hiring a CPA. I don't care what it is. There has to be time dedicated for those things. And you will be surprised if you go do this audit, if you break out a calendar. And if you're not keeping a calendar for yourself, I would encourage you to do so and go fill it out. Go look at the previous week. Go look at the last 2 weeks and fill it in. What did you do those days? What did you have going on? What did you spend your time doing? If you work in retail, I hope that you're slammed from open to close, but the reality is you're probably not. There's probably time, well, I'm in the store, and like I got to be in the store. But could you have your iPad out? Could you have your laptop out? And like, hey, a customer comes in, your attention goes completely to them and solely to them. And then once they walk back out, it's back focused on what you need to be focused on. I would venture to say, yeah, probably. Again, I hope that you're busy from bell to bell, but maybe you're not on the retail side. So that's my encouragement for you in this podcast is that there is time. There is time for most of you. It's just finding and making time for those things that are important. And the challenge is it may not be extremely important today because again, you're in the business, but remove yourself from that. How important? What will this look like if I don't accomplish this thing by next year? What will next quarter look like if I don't do these things? Um, I go back to treading water. Is that if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But it might be broke tomorrow. It might be there's a reason why you are looking at making these changes or implementing these things or growing these areas. There's a reason. And the reason is because you need to increase revenue or you need to decrease cost or you need to ramp up foot traffic or leads or like there are reasons why you need to do those things. And again, I try not to bring you things that I'm not preaching to myself and to our company because I think they're relevant. If they're relevant to us, they're relevant to someone else. And so these are all things that we're working through too. I feel like I'm fairly optimal with my time. I feel like I'm fairly flexible with making sure that I get some of these things in. But there are absolutely times where I look back at that to do list and it's like usually not the immediate to do list, it's the longer to do list. And it's more about our company than our clients. Like our clients come first to us before our stuff. And it's the same thing. Like if you've ever heard anyone say, like, the fence guy has the worst fence, the roofer has the worst roof, that type of thing, because we're busy taking care of everyone else. Completely understand that. But if you don't take time for your business, it ultimately may not matter. You may find yourself 6 months or a year or 2 years down the road going, man, if we would have done that back then, we would be in a much better place. So that is my encouragement for you today. Go and do an audit of your time. Look at the last couple of weeks, fill it in if you're not keeping a calendar. Do it on paper for all I care. I really don't. As long as you do it and really determine, like, what did I spend my time doing? Where could I have been more effective? And what are the top 5 things I need to work on? And what are the 3 to 5 steps I need to accomplish those things? And start building that thing out. And it gives you a very clear game plan going forward. And then it's just time slotting. It's going, I'm going to put this hour here, this 30 minutes here. I'm going to do this on Saturdays because it's the most convenient. I can be undisturbed or whatever. I'm going to get up at 8 on a Saturday instead of 9. And it gives me an hour to get some of these things knocked out. And you will still have plenty of time for the things that. So appreciate you guys tuning in. I hope this is helpful. I hope this rings a bell with somebody. I'm sure it will. Feel free to let us know in the comments. If you're watching a clip from this somewhere, TikTok, Instagram, or whatever, and you want to watch the full episode, go check it out on YouTube. Love to have your subscription over there. If you have any, burning topics that are in your mind, we're always open to suggestion. We'd love to bring you some of what would bring value to you, whether that is talking, about sales, marketing, advertising, culture, anything, just growth and scaling in general. It's something we nerd out on and love talking about. We'd love to talk about it. But again, thanks for tuning in. We will see you guys next time.